Hello everyone. Today we'll discuss the practicals of semester 1 based on paper 1 and 2. In this practical, there are the two sections belonging to the two theory papers. One is section A, Life and Diversity of Animal Non-Chordates Protozoa to Annelida, and section B comprises of the experiments from the environmental biology. Then your practical comprises of, or the section A, it comprises of the first, that is study of museum specimens, classification of animals up to the orders. That we have to study the animals from the protozoa, porifera, coelenterata, platyhelminths, esculenthes, and annelida, along with their classification. Then you have to study the permanent slides belonging to this phyla. Then third one is the anatomical observation of the digestive, nervous and reproductive system in earthworm. Then mounting, that is spicules, you have to prepare the slides of spicules and gemmules of sponge, Obelia colony, Neris purpurea, jaws of lip, Nephridia in leech. Then section B, or from section B, these experiments are there. First is a estimation of dissolved oxygen in water. Then second is the estimation of free CO2 of water. Then third one is estimation of pH of water sample. Then estimation of total hardness of water. Then fifth one is study of pond ecosystem, that is producer, consumers and decomposers. And the sixth one is a quantitative analysis of plankton and visit to a national parks and sanctuary. So these are your practicals for the first semester, and the distribution of marks or the examination that you will have to comment, identify and comment on spot on 8 spot. Out of that, 4 will be the museum specimens from the non-chordate and the 3 slides from the non-chordate and 1 spot from the environmental biology spot. Then dissection or anatomical observation, it will be of 8 marks. Then environmental biology experiment, it will be of 4 marks. Then permanent stain preparation, that is of 3 marks. Then submission of certified practical record, it will be of again 3 marks. Then submission of your slides and the tool diary, that will be of 2 marks, and the viva, it will be of 2 marks. This is the distribution of your 30 marks of the practicals. Now we'll start with the first phylum, that is a protozoa. As earlier discussed, these are the general characteristics of the phylum Protozoa, and you have to write down it on a what? The writing page. The protozoa, these are microscopic and acellular organisms or animal. Microscopic, these are very small. Acellular means there is no cell, uh, different types of the cells. That it, the single cell works all the functions, and that means the acellular. They are solitary or colonial, means they live in a singly or in a group. The body is naked or covered with pellicle, means the body, it may not be covered with any covering like pellicle, or it may be the covered with a pellicle. Then the protozoa shows a variety of shapes. These protozoans, these are maybe spherical, maybe oval or elongated in shape. The cytoplasm is differentiated into an outer ectoplasm and the inner one is called as a endoplasm. Then locomotory organs in this protozoa are generally pseudopodia as in amoeba, or the cilia as in the paramecium, or in the that is a flagella like in the vortice, like in the Euglena, or some may not having the locomotory organs, and on the basis of these protozoans are classified. Then nutrition may be Holophytic. Holo means complete. Phytic means plant. That is a plant-like. Holozoic means holocomplete. Zoic means animal-like. Complete animal-like. Then saprozoic, feeding on the dead and decaying organisms, and the or parasitic. That is a feeding on the or surviving on the expense of the others. Then the excretion through the contractile vacuoles means the single-celled animal that having the contractile vacuoles which are meant for the excretion. Then reproduction by sexual or asexual means. And asexual reproduction occurs by the different process. That important one is a conjugation. And asexual reproduction occurs by binary fission or budding or formation of bud and the multiple fission. Protozoa exhibits two modes of life, that is a free living and ecto or endoparasitic on animals and the plants. So these are the general characteristics of the protozoa that you have to write down on the writing page. Then this just on the left side, which is a blank page, on that you have to write down the classification of these protozoa. These protozoans are classified on the basis of the locomotory organ. First, that is this is a phylum. Then second hierarchical order is a thing is a what the class, and then order and the genus. So the protozoa having these four classes: the Ciliata, Rhizopoda, Mastigophora, and Sporozoa. The first is the Ciliata. Those animals having the what? The locomotory organ as a cilia. These are included under Ciliata. The one of the order from the Ciliata, that is a Holotricha, and example is the Paramecium. Then second class is a Rhizopoda, or that those organisms are having the locomotory organ as a Pseudopodia. These are included under the Rhizopoda, and the order is the Lobosa, and the genus is the Paramecium, or example is the Paramecium. Then the third class, that is the Mastigophora, and this Mastigophora includes the order that is a Euglenoidina. The Mastigophora, which are these Mastigophorans? Those having the locomotory organ as a flagella, and therefore these are the Mastigophora, or these are also called as a flagellata, and the order is the Euglenoidina, and example is a Euglena. And the last one is a Sporozoa, and this Sporozoa doesn't having the locomotory organ, and the order is a what? Hemosporidia. Example is the Plasmodium. You might be knowing the this Plasmodium which causes a malaria. Then the first example from the protozoa. On the next page, on the left side, or the where is the blank side, you have to divide it into two and draw the first diagram. That is a what? The Paramecium. Don't You have to draw the diagram and label it very neatly, and again don't forget to write down its name at below the figure. You write down the here figure and then write down the name of organism, that is the Paramecium. The how it is, that is a uh, this is a phylum Protozoas. Here there is a spelling mistake, you can correct it. Phylum, phylum Protozoa. Then class is the Ciliata, order is the Holotricha, and the genus is the Paramecium. And this is the word the Paramecium. It having the word locomotory organ is a word the cilia. Then it having the contractile vacuoles for the excretion. Then it having the food vacuoles. These are the nutritive material, and this nutritive material forms a food vacuole. And then it having the two parts cytoplasm, the external cytoplasmic material, that is called as a ectoplasm, and the internal or the internally placed cytoplasm is called as a endoplasm. It having the oral groove which through which it takes the food material or the nutrients. So these are the, this diagram you have to draw and you have to Write down its classification on the right side corner at the top. Then what are the characteristics of the paramecium? It is commonly known as a sleeper animalcule, and the body is sleeper shaped covered by pellicle. The cilia are uniformly arranged in a longitudinal rows except at the posterior end of the body. Cytoplasm, it is clearly distinguishable into two parts. An outer is called as a ectoplasm and the inner one is called as a endoplasm. Locomotion occurs with the help of cilia. Nutrition, how it is? It is a holozoic, that is a complete animal-like. Consist and food consists of bacteria, then diatoms and other small organisms. The reproduction in Paramecium occurs by both the mode, that is a sexual as well as the asexual. Sexual reproduction, it occurs by the process of conjugation, and asexual reproduction occurs by the transverse fission. Then the second animal, that is the amoeba. This name of this amoeba, you are not supposed to write down the name here. You have to write down the name at the uh, where you have drawn the diagram. Below that diagram, you have to name or label it. That is like figure amoeba. And the classification of this phylum, that is phylum Protozoa, then class is the Rhizopoda, order is the Lobosa, and the genus is the Amoeba. This is the amoeba, and this amoeba having the irregular shape or not well defined shape, and it having the nucleus at the center, and this is a contractile vacuole for the excretion, and all these are the pseudopodia, and this pseudopodia helps in the locomotion. It having the two material, that is a one is a this is a endoplasm and outer one is called as a ectoplasm. Means the contract this cytoplasm is clearly distinguished into the two parts, and it having the food vacuole inside it, and this is the cell membrane. So that amoeba is a minute organism. These characteristics you are out on the writing page. The amoeba is a minute organism measuring from 0.25 millimeter to 1.02 mm. Shape of the body is irregular. It appears like a colorless gelatinous mass of the protoplasm. Body is covered by thin semi-permeable layer of the protoplasm, and that we called it as a plasma lemma. The cytoplasm is clearly distinguishable into two parts, that is outer one is ectoplasm and inner one is called as a endoplasm. It has a single small spherical nucleus which is eccentric in position or toward the center, and a large single contractile vacuole which is excretory in function, and a number of the food vacuoles. Locomotion in these amoeba occurs by the pseudopodia. The nutrition is the holozoic, that is animal-like, and reproduction, it occurs by the binary fission or the multiple fission. There is no sexual reproduction. The reproduction in amoeba occurs by the what? Asexual reproduction by the process of binary fission, means one organism divides into two. Multiple fission, one organism divides into many organisms and or forms many organisms, that we call it as a multiple fission. Then the third organism, that is a Euglena. This Euglena having the locomotory organ, that is what? The long flagella, and therefore this class is the Mastigophora or the flagellata. How it is classified? That is a phylum Protozoa, class Mastigophora, order Euglenoidina, and the genus is the Euglena. Here this is a Euglena, and this Euglena having, if you observe the structure of the Euglena, it having the flagellum, then it having the vacuole, and this that is a contractile vacuole for the excretion, and the and again important thing, this is a nucleus, and as this is a uh, this having the what? The chloroplasts. What is the function of chloroplast? that is the photosynthesis. Even though this is included under the Animalia, this having the chloroplast, and as it having the chloroplast, it having ability to photosynthesize its own food material, and therefore the food mechanism or the feeding mechanism, it is a holophytic. Phyta means plant. That is a phyta. Meaning of the phyta is a plant. Holophytic, and that is a plant like. Euglena is oval, spindle shape measuring from 50 to 100 microns in length with a blunt anterior end, and the posterior end is a pointed. The body is covered with the help of the pellicle. Anterior end of the body bears a small funnel-like cytostome and tubular cytopharynx. Single whip-like flagellum arising from the base of the reservoir. Nucleus is large and spherical, and cytoplasm is again divided into two parts, ectoplasm and endoplasm. The nutrition is holophytic as it having the chloroplast, and therefore the holophytic, that is feeding on the, that is by the, it called that feeding like a plant, that is by the process of the photosynthesis, it having ability to synthesize their own food material, or saprophytic, feeding on the dead and decaying organisms, and locomotion occurs by the flagella, and reproduction in Euglena occurs by the asexual method and by the binary fission, that is the binary fission. So these are the general characteristics of the Euglena. And the last animal belonging to the protozoa, that is the what, the Plasmodium. This is the Plasmodium sporozoid. You have to draw this diagram very carefully and write down the Plasmodium sporozoid. This phylum Protozoa, class is the Sporozoa. No locomotory organs are seen. It is a parasitic one. Order is the Hemosporidia. Hem means the iron, that is it lives where, that is in the blood, and the genus is the Plasmodium. It is a parasitic. You might be knowing the Plasmodium causes the disease, that is a malaria. That, and it completes its life cycle in two hosts. One is a mosquito and another one is a man. This Plasmodium having these mitochondria, cell organelles, then contractile vacuoles, then this is a, that nucleus, then ectoplasm, endoplasm, and this is a apical cap, and all these structures. These are the tropozoites which are seen in the RBCs. This is a parasite, and this is a within the parasite. This is a intracellular parasite. It lives within the cell, and these are the tropocytes which are ring shaped, and these are the endoparasitic in nature, and these are the sporozoites you can see in the within the blood. The Plasmodium is an intracellular parasite of man which is within the cell and other vertebrate causing the malaria. The life history of Plasmodium is completed in two hosts, that is man and infected female Anopheles mosquito. Then the sporozoites are introduced into the blood, from where they reach to the liver. Means the mosquitoes releases the sporozoites from their body to the healthy man, and from the blood they reach to the liver and multiply to form the merozoites, and multiply to form the merozoites. These this plasmodium, then the merozoites enter into the RBC and feed on the contents of RBC. The merozoites assume different shapes and known as gametocytes. And these gametocytes from the body of the human being, these are taken by the mosquitoes. And these gametocytes are sucked by the female mosquito with the blood of man, where they undergo the sporogony, and therefore the life cycle continues in man, and again what, the mosquito or the female Anopheles mosquito. And so this is the parasitic, or it lives in a parasitic mode of life, and it causes a disease that we called it as a malaria. Thank you.